Hello, time for an update. It's been a week. Thank you, Mo. Right on cue.
Has it been a whole week? It's felt like a long time. It's been a really busy week.
Yes, unexpected as well in different ways. So we had an interview on Tuesday.
Yes.
That hasn't gone live yet as we are recording
Pre-recorded,
this.
yeah.
That's due to go live on Wednesday. It's Sunday today. How did you feel about the interview?
Don't know.
It was
Passed me by.
a bit more relaxed than other interviews because it was being recorded, so we had an opportunity to...
We talked too much.
Yeah, probably. But we also had an opportunity to kind of redo the odd bit that wasn't quite spot on.
Yeah, it was a different experience.
Whereas this is almost live. I'm not going to edit it. So it's just going to be garbage.
First take.
Papers?
The papers. Oh, that was just crazy. So, on Thursday, I got a message from a friend who'd had a message from one of her friends of a photograph of the front page of the...
That was the Standard.
Standard.
Yeah. Chester Standard. Chester
Front page of the Standard.
Front page.
So I was like, what? I must go out and get one. So I walked down to the local petrol station and bought a copy. And there were two different editions out, actually. And I don't know why I didn't buy more, but I only bought one of them. So I should have gone a bit more crazy.
One's
there we
enough.
are.
One's enough.
So that was Thursday. And though we didn't know it, on Friday, I was just passing by the newspaper stand in Morrison's. I thought, I'll just glance, And there was Mo and the rest of us.
On a different local paper.
On the Chronicle.
This time the Chronicle.
Yes.
But it was the edition from the previous day.
Yes. And then there was a big
spread
inside. Yeah.
So, to the best of
That's
our
lovely.
knowledge,
Yeah.
without any collusion between those two papers that are, as far as I know, are in competition with each other, we ended up on the front page of both local newspapers. So, I mean, thank you to the journalists and the papers.
Huge thank you. It was
for that.
amazing. It was amazing. It was very gobsmacking.
Yeah. Really strange. Now,
Never expected
if we could
that.
make it onto the front page of the Times, that would be even more helpful. And why would that be helpful? Well,
I don't like the Times.
okay, any newspaper. That was just random.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just going to your head now, Rob.
Let's not get into that debate over which paper's best. And during this week, I also had a conversation with our lovely financial advisor, hi Rianne, who I've worked with in my previous professional life and over many years. And we were just looking at what the possibilities might be to raise a mortgage on this house and on the new house at the same time. So effectively giving us a way to do the bridging, which extends our reach, in theory, to the higher priced properties. And I think we fairly clearly established that that's not possible, that lenders won't do that sort of thing, that there's a possibility of some short-term lending, which is very expensive, or...
Which is the bridging loan
which
that
is
we
the bridging
originally
loan,
talked about.
exactly. Or a residential mortgage, or a buy-to-let mortgage, or a let-to-buy mortgage, but only if you're actually going to rent out the property. And since we'd be living here, potentially whilst doing up the next property, that's not an option.
No.
So
I found that quite disappointing, quite deflating, because it suddenly narrowed our options way more than we thought.
Yes, Mo.
Yes, no, it was disappointing.
It reduced our reach by about £200,000. That's the difference. We could have, before that we were looking potentially up at the 550 mark, and this brings us down to 350.
So where does that leave us in terms of options, then?
That leaves us, hypothetically, it's possible to get a single mortgage. Now, because of the funds that you've kindly donated and that we've raised so far,
and plus some savings,
we're able, we have enough for a deposit and also to pay for some renovations. So that means that we can, in theory, get a big mortgage on that property, buy it, big 90% mortgage, and start doing it up before we move out of here.
Yeah.
And that reduces stress massively, the fact that we wouldn't then be against the clock. But it's also quite expensive because it's not, as Sharon reminded me, it's not just the paying of the mortgage, but it's also the paying of the utilities, water bills and all that, and council tax on two properties. So it won't be cheap per se, but that's attainable. But now we know that doing that won't work with a more expensive house. We can't.
No. So we're looking for a house that's basically a similar value to the one we have now.
Yeah.
It'll just be arranged differently. Either that, or there was an amazing purpose-built facility out there that was more expensive that we could just move to
in one
go.
Yeah.
And that's the thing we think is really unlikely.
Yeah.
The other... Sorry, had you got anything else to say?
No, carry on.
The other thing that I thought was quite deflating was the advice from... Was it a counsellor in that email?
Yeah, Liverpool
Can you explain about some of that?
So there's a counsellor that a contact of ours has spoken to who said that basically builders are extremely unwilling to pay the extra expense to make properties that are wheelchair accessible.
For private housing.
Yeah. So residential property isn't being built to be wheelchair accessible, particularly, except in fairly rare cases. And the legislation at the moment doesn't force anyone to make anything wheelchair accessible. And I mean, that kind of fits with what we've seen in all the places that we've looked. You know, you're not seeing super wide doorways, you're not seeing ramped access, all those kind of just basic things that you need as a wheelchair user. But I hope...
That was really sad to hear. It was like clear facts from someone who... I think... Does she campaign a bit for it? Yeah.
And it's not simply sad because that means there are fewer houses to buy. It's sad because
sad
it means...
as a reflection of society.
But it means that wheelchair users can't then even visit other people's houses.
Yeah.
That's the sad thing.
So sad.
It reduces the ability to kind of mingle and socialise.
And certainly
so
we
on.
found there's a lot... We'll maybe talk about this another time, but there's a lot of isolation, isn't there? Sorry, I'm just doing Morgan's medicines whilst I'm talking, but there's a lot of isolation with your circumstances. And I think anyone who's coping with disability can perhaps feel isolated enough without, just by not being understood and people not really knowing. Yeah.
Anyway, it's not all doom and gloom. It's not all bad news.
No, it was just a mixed week, wasn't it? It was a bit of a roller coaster of emotions because there was the excitement of the paper, and then there was the finance side.
Bit of a reality check, really, wasn't it?
And I think also you were thinking, well, perhaps the fundraising is going to tail off now.
Yeah, it certainly feels like that. You feel free to prove us wrong.
If we achieve the target,
yeah,
then that changes everything.
Exactly, it
options.
opens up the more expensive properties.
Realistically, now we're looking at what the options are with where we're at now.
Yeah, exactly. So front page article on a national newspaper, whatever newspaper, could definitely help. But I don't have any way of making that happen. So if you've got any bright ideas, let us know. But as it is,
I think I've had enough of being in the press.
Yeah,
and doing this. I quite like a private, quiet life in a corner.
The point is, I think we kind of know where we stand with what we've got right now. There's still scope for things to change.
Yes.
We're not ruling that out. We also, as Christians, believe that God can do miracles, and anything. Yeah, thank you, Mo. Anything could happen. But where we are right now, we see very limited options. We are not out of options. We see some possibilities, but it's quite a narrow path that we may have to walk.
And one more thing that happened on Thursday was we did actually view our first property, which was lovely, and there was lots we liked about it, but it just wasn't right. It wasn't the right configuration. It didn't have the right flexibility, and it was a bit too expensive for... being able to do anything with it as well. So it was actually really helpful to go and see a property because we've looked at so many floor plans.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you're not going to know what will work until you've seen what won't.
Yeah. Anyway.
And we are forming a clear idea of what's going to work.
So that was helpful. So yeah.
Stay with us on this journey if you like. There are some highs and lows, and I'm sure there are some highs and lows to come. We will try and update you as those happen.
Yes.
Thanks
for
now.
watching. Don't forget to like and share.
Oh,
like and
good
share.
Girl. Well done.
Hey.
And subscribe. Bye for now.
Bye.